Hi, Master and None here, and today we're going to fire up the forge and try to turn this into this. Now, it's a nice little beginner's blacksmithing project because we're going to learn a new skill today. We're going to learn upsetting. We're going to take the stock we have here and make it bigger on the end to make our spoon. I've been making spoons for a long time. I don't know why I make spoons. The first thing I ever carved out of wood was a little wooden spoon. So we're going to make a spoon. Serves no purpose, but we're going to do it anyway. Let's get the forge fired up. What we're going to be doing here to get this upset, we're going to just want to keep the tip where we want to make it larger. We don't want the whole bar to be hot because it's going to be more prone to bending. So we're keeping this towards the edge of the fire and we're just going to get the tip hot. Now when it comes to upsetting, there's a couple ways we can do this. We can just kind of tap the material off the edge of the anvil like this. Lots of light taps because you don't want to bend it. Anytime you get a bend in it, pretty much got to go and straighten it out. So lots of light taps. I've got another method that I prefer though that we're going to check out because I think it's easier. So by leaving the stock nice and long, I can just use that as a bit of weight and tap this on the floor and get really quick results. Lots of light repetitions. I'm not actually throwing the rod down, I'm just pretty much letting it drop. So I'm just lifting it up and letting it drop. And we're already seeing, we can get it to focus, we're already seeing some progress there on the upsetting. This was actually narrower on the very tip than the bar was earlier from when I cut this off before. And we're already getting fatter than the tip. We just cannot focus for anything on this. But you get the idea. And we are pretty much getting where we want to be at this point. Need a nice little knob of metal at the end of this. A little bit of a bend there that we'll have to take out. But now we're going to be able to move on to the next phase of the spoon making. Now we're getting ready to start where the cup of the spoon is going to be and where the handle is going to start. And to make quick work of it, we're coming onto the horn of the anvil here. That way we've got our hammer striking one side and the anvil is going to be doing work on the other side. Kind of rotate as we go, 90-degree turns, and sometimes rolling it all the way around. And you know, this is going to be round for now, so we're going to try to hit those high spots when we're doing it. course, camera right there is kind of slowing me down because when I come up like this, I'm almost hitting the shotgun mic on the end of my camera. So and just light hits now, cleaning up the hammer blows and going a little slower because I'm working with you guys, but still making some progress there, but a little bit more to go. And again, it can bend a little bit while you're doing this, but if you get too bent out of shape, you get inefficient hammer blows because you're losing a lot of force with that metal bending. And so straighten her out once in a while. And you can really see as it comes around how much of the work the horn of the anvil is doing. We're just going to rough in a little more of the handle, or the neck, if you would, before we move on. Straightened out a little bit. Definitely arm day on Master of None. I think we're ready to flatten out the head of this spoon here. So we've worked pretty hard up to this point, getting this kind of nice blob of steel on the end of our piece. What should we do with it? Let's whack it with a hammer. Now as I'm doing this, I'm kind of hitting areas that I kind of want to round out into that spoon shape. The tip's got kind of a flat spot on it from how we made this to begin with. We'll correct that as we go. And as we cool, we're going light hits. When I do these, I really neck up on the hammer. Light hits, just knocking off scale and smoothing out hammer blows. Not trying to really move any metal at this point. It's starting to get spoon shaped. Trying to get that as even and symmetrical as we can. And working that tip just a little bit, light hammer blows. Trying not to curl the whole thing over. Maybe even a good idea when doing this to switch to a little bit lighter of a hammer. A lot of times when I'm doing light work, I get a lighter hammer. Clean up those hammer blows, keep knocking scale off. You don't see this, but in between heats, I'm always keeping the scale off the anvil. Just nice light blows. It doesn't need to be perfect. You can always profile this on the sander or grinder a little bit. And we're going to let this cool down, and we're going to cut off this big piece of stock so we can focus in more on the handle of our spoon. And away we go. Just going to keep working out the handle of the spoon. I cut it a little shorter than we wanted it to be because as we go here, making it smaller in diameter, we're going to be drawing it out as well. Slowing down here as we cool. You know, and of course, the thicker parts of metal retain their heat more. The thinner parts of metal both heat up and cool down faster, so don't want to be trying to move cold steel. Let's get her back in the fire. One untimely hammer blow is going to take quite a while to work that out of there. This is the part of the spoon making that really takes the longest and is the most work. Making some pretty decent progress there. Little bit of a twist to the handle. Not too concerned with that at this point. Still needs to be thinner than that. This might also be longer than it needs to be. If it is, we'll just cut off a little bit at the end. Looking fairly decent. Alrighty. Let's talk about the next step now. Well, the next thing we got to do is take the spoon from being flat like that to being that nice concave dish shape of the spoons you'd find in the house. So the first spoon I ever made, I used just a chunk of deck board that was replaced and carved a little dish into it and used that as a form for the spoon. And I've got some footage of that somewhere. If I can find it, I'll include that right here.
Boy, put it in the water really helped quite a bit actually.
But I went online, and because I don't have access to like a swage block, I found this little spoon form that I can just, if you had a large hardy hole in your anvil, bigger than mine, my little guy there, you could just drop that in there. Otherwise, I clamp this in my bench vise and use a ball peen hammer and set the piece in there and pound out the spoon shape. And that's what we're going to do next. just in a matter of seconds, you go from a flat piece that kind of looks like a spoon to something that, heck, this is now a spoon. Lots of finishing touches to do. I'm going to heat this back up and we're going to come back over here. I'm going to work it just a bit more. But voila! Just moving around to different parts of the little spoon swedge here where I can work the spots that I haven't worked yet. I want to take care of this handle before I work on the spoon itself anymore. Now, to be a spoon, it's got to be shaped like a spoon. I guess I've been doing a lot of work up here on the horn. I should have angled the camera so you can see both. But how it was, especially before, but even now, isn't shaped like the handle of a spoon you'd find typically. So we've got a little bit more work. I've got it all straightened back out from being the mess it was from hammering out the bowl of the spoon. Now we just got to get this shaped like it's a real spoon. Get that camera adjusted so you can actually see what I'm doing here. Very easy to go to make an adjustment and go too far. We now have a slight twist to it that we're going to have to straighten out. But I'd say we are pretty darn close here. We just got to get it straight. So you missed it because the battery died, but all I did there at the end was I grabbed this thing with the tongs on the spoon end, and I grabbed it with the pliers and just twisted that handle so it was straight instead of being, you know, kind of twisted about, I don't know, 30 degrees or so. We're gonna let this thing cool off, and then we're gonna take it to the sander and clean up that head so it's more like an actual spoon. So I didn't go crazy on polishing this thing up. It was made more of just a project to do, and it's not identical to the spoon out of the house. I actually made one of these in preparation for this video last night that is much closer in all regards to the spoon out of the house. It just kind of sits right in it. It's the shape is as close as I can get it to identical. The handle's just a little bit off, but there's our homemade spoon. And a person could go to town and really polish this up, but I don't think anyone's ever going to really eat out of it. It's just a fun little project to learn a little bit more about blacksmithing. This is Master of None. Like, subscribe, leave a comment. I do read and reply to most of the comments, and I do get video ideas. So if you've got any beginners blacksmithing projects that you think would go good in one of these videos, or anything else that we cover on this channel, let us know, and we'll catch you next time.